people here. Usually we'd go.
We're going to go.
Are we live?
We're
live! Yay!
Yay! Good morning, guys.
Good
or
morning.
no, well, morning for us. Depends where you are.
Yeah.
Might be midnight, might be the afternoon.
We're always so excited when it works because you just never know. So
No, we're just trying to bring up the chat here on the laptop. Give
bear
us a
with
second.
us. I don't know if anyone's even there yet.
Yeah, a couple of people there.
Are they? Oh, yeah, there they are. Sorry about the lighting. Hi, hello, parents, hello,
Good
children.
morning. Hello. Hi, Hannah.
Hi.
Woohoo.
Hi.
Hello.
Here, hi, Tony.
Tony. How are you, mate?
Great. Oh, you're supposed to be finding on the screen.
Yeah, I know.
Well, just bear with us while we get organised.
All right. How do we find this?
No, we usually log on as
Okay.
us.
No, we don't hear us.
So just to fill you guys in, it is 6 o'clock in the morning here, so the sun is just coming up. Oh, here we are. Oh, no, wait, feedback. Okay, so we've obviously got to have the lights on because it's too dark.
All right.
That's it. That's why we look so terrible. I think that looks okay.
Oh, well.
Cool.
Sort of.
That's all right. Okay.
Perfect timing. I'm just eating breakfast. Good on you, Jazz. Lots of love from Ireland. Lots of love to you. Guys, I need a stomach. Cami. Hi, Cami.
Hi,
How
Cami.
are you?
Hi.
Cami's such a huge supporter. Thank you, Cami.
Thank you.
What's
Not terrible, you're beautiful. Oh, not at this hour. No.
2 a.m.
2 a.m.
Wow.
Oh.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, as always, it's such a hard, awkward time to suit everybody. So
yeah. Oh, it's hard, isn't
it's
it?
awful.
We're in the worst time zone. We
It's
say
a-
this all the time.
It's a really bad time zone.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's not Europe friendly. We just get the UK. It's about midnight there.
It's hardly Southeast Asia friendly. We got up at 5:15, so
I don't know.
Well, we'll see. We're here now anyway.
Yes. Thank you everybody for joining us. So many people from around the world. It's really cool.
Yeah.
7 p.m. That's a good time. Where is it in 7 p.m.?
Yeah, it must be New York, I reckon.
Thanks, Luca. My breakfast
East
with
Coast.
oats, bananas, and coconut yogurt. Yay.
Woohoo!
Cool. 7 p.m. is a great time. Whoever's got 7 p.m.
Actually, Jazz and her coconut yogurt on her breakfast reminded me now of how we used to do it, and this is about digestion and bloating, so
Yes.
that's something that we can add to our list, isn't it?
Yes. We've got a little list of things, list of topics. Let's take some notes.
Pop it in now. Yeah, I
No,
think it's
maybe.
like it's one of these.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll read here. Midnight in London. Yeah, sorry.
All right.
I love seeing people join us and leave their comments. It's really cool.
12 a.m. I'm moving house tomorrow and going from vegan substitute to plant-based. Cool, and couldn't miss the
Excellent.
live stream. That's great. Thanks for joining us.
7 p.m. in Canada. Oh, okay. So Canada, 7 p.m.
Oh no,
That's-
potatoes have been bloating Cami. Oh no.
Oh.
Now it could be the potatoes,
Oh,
or it could be
yeah.
something else in the diet. Maybe
All right,
we'll
we're
talk
going to
about
get to
that stuff.
it. Okay, so this is kind of like a little bit of a different live stream because we've got things that we want to go through. So we've got a list of notes here. We're obviously going to be talking about digestion and bloating and all things in your guts. So we may not be able to read all your comments at the same time. So just bear with us.
So what we want, how do we get? How can we see that chat?
Yeah.
Plus.
Hold on.
There we go. That's pretty good.
Sort of. Oh, well, we'll just have to switch from one to the other. That's the best we can do. How about we start?
Yeah, that could
Yeah?
work. Yeah, cool.
All right, so first up, we wanted to say thank you so much to everybody who's joining us and everyone who's joined us in previous live streams. I know it's been a break between live streams because love's been a bit crazy. So thank you to the people who are joining us every morning when we're doing these.
Yes.
And also thank you to everybody who contributed to our super chat in the past.
Thank you,
very,
guys.
very grateful.
Really appreciative.
Yes,
Thank you.
especially now that YouTube ain't our friend anymore. So very grateful for support from our supporters. On to today's topic.
Digestion. It's a tricky one, isn't
Yes.
it? Because there are just so many variables.
It's like a puzzle, and even like we've been vegan just over 6 years now.
And we've been about predominantly whole plant foods for, 2 years? Yeah.
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 And high carb, low fat for
4 years?
Yeah, so it's a long time kind of eating in this direction. And, you know, the reason why this all came up was because we had a few weeks of just bad stuff happening. So we were talking about it amongst ourselves and thought, oh, this is a good topic to do video on.
Yeah, and we spoke about it a little bit in one of our vlogs from Hong Kong, didn't we? I don't know whether any of you guys watched those 3 vlogs from Hong Kong. I think it was in the second one. We were starting to experience some digestive issues.
Yes.
And we thought we'd talk about it a little in that vlog and talk about it more now here.
Yeah, but the thing is, we wanted to give a little bit of a backstory. So, before we went to Hong Kong, something just got us, right? I don't know.
So, I don't know.
It could be anything, right? But, like, there's certain
Could have been
things,
the water, maybe.
It could have. We
like,
don't know.
we moved from the island to the city, and sometimes the bacteria in the water can change.
Who knows? Something just got us a little bit. What's that? Okay, no, keep going. And also, like, there's... Hold on. Okay, cool. Sorry. So before Hong Kong, something got us. And for example, there's little triggers. So Luca doesn't do well with quinoa and corn.
Yeah.
And right before we left, we had quinoa and corn.
And then that just set me up for bad digestion for the rest of the trip, didn't it?
And also that morning, because we take our breakfast with us on the plane, and the bananas were like, they should have been eaten the day before.
Well, you know, it was a little bit of that, but it was also that we prepared them early in the morning because we had an early morning flight.
Yeah.
But by the time we got around to eating them, which was, you know, you got to make your way to the airport and go through the check-in, quite a number of hours had gone by, and then they started to ferment a little bit further because I've chopped them up already just to make them easier to eat with our oatmeal on the plane.
So by the time we ate them, it's like, these are barely passable, but we're going to do it.
So that was on the top of the quinoa and the corn that had already set me off, and
so we arrived at Hong Kong with a few issues. Then we had all that amazing food that we were showing, and we have to say that we cooked all of our breakfasts and a lot of our dinners as well.
Yeah, so we're going
thank you, Tara. That is a big supporter from Washington
Tara
State.
Marie.
Please, more recipe videos.
Okay, did you like the chickpea pasta one? Yeah. Thank you so much.
And if you're wondering why we're saying thank you, sorry, we have to remember, Tara just did the what is it called?
Super chat
for $5. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tara.
It's gorgeous.
So where were we? Oh yeah, we were going to Hong Kong for 4 days. So that's 3 meals a day, 12 meals in total. Of those 12 meals, we prepared 7 ourselves.
Yeah.
We had a little kitchenette in the Airbnb we were staying at, just a simple little setup, and we did our oats and bananas for breakfast, didn't we? And then either a lunch or a dinner, we'd go to the supermarket and we'd get a can of chickpeas, a can of corn. That was probably not working so well for me.
I like corn.
Some fresh lettuce and fresh cherry tomatoes, So, and then the other 5 of the 12 meals we ate out. But those 5 meals...
They were just higher in oil and salt and...
MSG,
we're assuming MSG, right? Because when you're eating out, especially at the kind of buffets that we were eating out at, and they use lots of sauces and flavorings that you don't know what's in them. So it's not like they're purposefully adding MSG. It's just that it could be in the sauces.
Yeah. And, when we go to the supermarket and we buy a sauce ourselves to, use at home to prepare our meals, obviously we read the labels and we never buy anything with an E number or preservative type thing.
Yeah.
Preservative like ascorbic acid, vitamin C, that's fine, or, something like...
The E numbers that are really nasty.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking what are E numbers actually.
It's just
like the worst
chemicals that are produced in labs, to either preserve food or to enhance its flavour. Basically, it's artificial. It's not natural to the body and can often cause, allergies in sensitive people and
all kinds of very bizarre reactions. So you want to try and
screw
avoid
with your digestion.
Yeah, and that's the risk you take when you eat out. But look, the reason we did it is because it was only 4 meals, and
five.
Sorry.
4 days.
Yeah. And we prepare our meals at home like 99% of the time, especially when we're not traveling, when we're in our home base. And also it's good to show people different vegan options, because we know that a lot of people think, you boring Whole Foods people, you're only eating your oatmeal and your bananas every day and your potatoes. Give us some variety. So it's good to show different options because our priority is to get people vegan.
Yeah.
And then healthy vegan comes next.
Yeah, and we know that people coming from a standard Western diet that's hyper palatable, full of all the yummy stuff, except for the animal products. No, but seriously though, you know, they're going to find it quite difficult, most of them, to transition to a predominantly whole plant foods, you know, cleaner diet overnight. That's going to take some time.
They're already
for
eating the
most
crappy
people.
stuff, so let's make it vegan. I'm going to interrupt you there. Thank you so much to
Fashion Philosophy.
$10 from Canada. I think that's
you
beautiful.
both are making real tangible change in the vegan movement. It's so inspiring. This is the least I can do for you, and thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That's lovely.
Fashion Philosophy. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. So that's kind of the story of where we're at. And then we get back to the mainland, right? Back to Thailand. And because we've moved from the island to the city, we're in a new apartment. And so we had to deal with the water issue. So you can't drink from the tap here.
And on the island, we've been using these 20 litre or 20 quart reusable bottles that they would refill, and we would just use, you know, one of those a day.
Yeah.
But here we're in a condominium apartment building, and getting those delivered is possible. But
the system didn't work. The receptionist, like, we ordered 10.
Before we went to
one.
Hong Kong so that they'd be here when we got back. Yeah, we got one.
Yeah, and because we use that water for cooking and washing our food
and drinking. So
it's got to be reliable. Anyway, that just didn't work out.
So we had to go and get a filtration system.
Yeah.
We got that. Last time we were here in Chiang Mai, we were here 18 months and we bought a really high quality filter and it was fantastic. But we had to leave that behind in the apartment that we were in. We're in a different apartment this time, so we had to buy a new one. But we didn't want to spend as much, so we bought a cheaper model. Bad move, because we installed it.
Oh my God, within a day or so, bang, our guts were just bloated like you wouldn't believe. Sore, and then the trumpet bomb started, and the
smell
and the bad things coming out of us.
You know that bacteria smell?
Yeah, it was something very, very wrong.
So some bacteria was getting through the filter. It wasn't filtering small enough particles of bacteria because it was a cheaper model. So we had to take it back.
We should have put masks on. It was like, oh, this is so bad. The smell was horrific. Anyhow.
Anyway, so we got another one that's coming today, hopefully, after this live stream.
Yeah, trumpet bomb, that's what it's called. So yeah, we've got it and we need someone to come in and install it. So basically, it's been a couple of weeks of just terrible, terrible stomach problems.
Yeah.
And so what we did when we got back from Hong Kong, we did a little
reset,
like semi-potato cleanse. We were still having our oatmeal and bananas in the morning, which we find we digest the best. Like after breakfast, I'm full, but my stomach isn't massive. It's kind of flattish full.
And just on that though, oatmeal can be different for everyone.
Yes,
and I used to experience something in the past. If I didn't hydrate enough before oats, wow, I would get terrible digestion. Like, I mean, you know, for about 2 to 3 hours afterwards. And after a while I found out I wasn't drinking enough water before eating the oats, because the oats absorb more water while they're in your digestive tract.
Yeah.
And so if there's not enough there to begin with, it just,
that would
for
be
me,
really
it was
painful
it was
for you.
really, really painful.
Yeah.
So if that's happening to you guys, make sure you're very well hydrated before eating the oats.
Yeah. So then for lunches and dinner, we would have mainly based around potatoes. Initially not even beans or vegetables, just potatoes and greens. And that felt fantastic. It was so clean and it just simplified the digestion for us, and we felt like we got back on track.
Yeah.
Then we started to introduce more vegetables and more beans, and things were going okay until the water problem came along.
Yeah, and also you found when we reintroduced brown rice.
Yeah. See, it's tricky. My digestion is, like I said, great in the morning, and then after lunch on some days, I bloat again, and I think it might be the brown rice. However, yesterday, we didn't have brown rice and my stomach was terrible. Now, is that still the water bug or not? I don't know.
Yeah, well, we did have beans and vegetables with the potatoes.
Yeah.
And I remember you were experiencing some bloating on some days on the island.
Yeah.
And often for lunch we'll have brown rice, beans and vegetables. And we weren't sure which of the three it was. The brown rice is done. And you do an elimination process to work that out.
That's what we were going to say. So because it's so tricky, like, you know, all human beings are supposed to eat obviously plant foods, and whole plant foods is what science is telling us is, you know, ideal for our health, for our bodies. But within that, there are going to be differences between everybody.
Yeah,
so
no corn and quinoa for me.
Possibly brown rice triggers me, but I'm not super sure.
And then other people, they do better on white rice than they do brown rice because they find the fibre content is too much for their particular, you know, digestive system.
Yeah, so two things to take away here. Number one is everybody needs to experiment with their own bodies and digestion. So do a bit of an elimination process.
Yeah.
You know, cut the
really
beans
pay
out.
attention. Keep a food diary.
Yeah.
Keep a food diary.
Cut the beans out, for example, altogether. Eat your usual diet. See what happens. If there's no difference, put the beans back in. Take out vegetables, for example, or reduce them, or, you know, whatever, just to see what improves.
Because you might be able to eat something in, you know, a certain quantity. After, if you go over that quantity, it might start giving you issues.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people say, yeah, I love whole plant foods and they make me feel great, but I'm having problems with bloating. And I think this is definitely the case because there's so much fiber. So it's tricky because we're supposed to eat fiber, but it can be difficult when there's too much, or if we're switching our systems over from eating a more processed diet or, you know, a diet of animal products. So
we might have to increase our fibre gradually over time.
Yeah, and having said that, like we said, we've been doing this for a while now and we're still, you know, have bad days. So it kind of just depends. The other thing is, okay, so now these are like just tips that we've been thinking about. Beans are great to have, but you need to make sure that they're soaked very well. So we soak our beans overnight.
For a minimum of 12 hours.
Yeah, this is if you're cooking them from dry. Of course, if you're using canned beans, you don't
No.
you don't need to soak or cook.
If you are eating canned beans, though, there's a different consideration. Most of them come with added salt. Now, that salt can be a potential for bloating. So you definitely want to rinse them very well to get rid of that excess salt.
Yeah.
And then they should be good to go because they've been pre-cooked. But if you are cooking them from dry, soaking them overnight for a minimum of 12 hours, and then making sure they're being cooked for long enough. Now, if you've got a pressure cooker, okay, sometimes they can be done in 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Very quickly.
That's fine. But if you're using, say, a slow cooker, cook them over a period of, you know, a number of hours. So ours, it depends on the type of bean. The smaller and softer they are, the less cooking time they require. The bigger and harder they are, like chickpeas, for example, the longer they require.
Yeah.
So
you want them to be, you know, you don't want them to be crunchy. You don't want them to be hard when you bite into them. More soft.
No. Chickpeas, I mean, it depends on the slow cooker that you've got, but I mean, we cook ours for, you know, talking about 6.5, 7 hours after soaking them overnight for 12 hours.
Yeah,
so definitely.
I just want to, looking at the comments as you're speaking, and Hannah brought up dairy. Yes, this is, the first thing we should say is, we always assume that we have a vegan audience, and that's not the case. So the first thing is to take out the animal products from your diet. That's obviously super important, especially dairy. It just screws up your digestion.
Remember
so
yours?
bad. Oh my God. Milk used to be terrible. That was my trigger. And I couldn't drink coffee because it would go right through me. I'd have milk, hot chocolate instead. That would still go right through me. But coffee would give me heart palpitations and make me sweaty. And I didn't like feeling the dizziness and the, you know, so that's why I'd have hot chocolate instead in the mornings. And if we'd have meetings at work, everybody would order coffee. I'd order a big hot chocolate. So I'd get my hot chocolate, my big mug. It had to be the big one, couldn't be a small one. And I would just, the bloating would be out here. I'd run to the toilet. I remember it was a TMI, first thing in the morning. It was a small cubicle, and I'd literally be holding onto the walls, pooping, diarrhea, sweating, unbutton my shirt, breathing. I mean, it was like I was giving birth every morning. And,
I remember
you know,
describing it to me.
It was awful, so many cramps, and I'd keep doing it every day. That's the addiction of dairy.
Yeah.
As soon as we stopped the dairy, that didn't happen anymore.
Thank
so
God we learned that we weren't baby cows. Eh?
yeah, I was sitting and I just remember, sweating. I'd come out, fix myself up, and I'm at work. Right, where were we? It was just ridiculous.
Glad
so that's
those
what
days
milk
are
does.
behind you.
Yeah, awful. So drop the animal products, drop the dairy, and then you can work on the other stuff, the plant stuff.
Yeah.
So that's beans.
Salt. That's huge. There is a channel on YouTube called Banana TV, and they did a salt experiment. And for 7 days, Kaylee, one of the two Banana TV girls, ate the the standard daily intake of salt in the American diet. So it was probably around 2,700 milligrams, something around that. And she'd been eating a low sodium diet before that, mainly whole plant foods, probably around 12 to 1,500 milligrams of sodium. So she was pretty much doubling it.
Yeah.
And after 7 days, she documented all 7 days. You really must watch this experiment. It's fascinating. Wow, the change in her stomach area here.
And you retain so much water.
That's right.
So it's just everything gets puffier plus the bloat.
And she was in so much. She was in digestive pain.
Yeah, it hurts. So definitely eliminate or reduce salt at least. And the trick is, if you need to add it, please.
Oh, we just had a
hold
pledge.
on, pause.
Sorry. Frenzy Covens. Oh, thank you for the €5 pledge. Thank you so much,
That's
Frenzy.
lovely. Thank you very much. We just like to pause and acknowledge people. Cool.
Thank you.
So the trick is, if you do need to have salt, add it to your meal just to taste on the
surface of the food.
Rather than don't cook with it, because it kind of gets lost and you end up putting more and more.
Definitely.
Just put it on the surface.
That's the best tip.
That's the best tip. Yeah. We actually use soy sauce instead of salt.
It's really no different because
not.
The amount of sodium in the soy sauce is just as high as the sodium in salt.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're not using sodium.
A salt taste. Yeah.
It's just that soy sauce goes well in dressings because it's liquid based.
Yeah? Exactly. Someone said, what about Himalayan salt? We've heard that all salt is the same.
Himalayan salt is better than, say, the white processed table salt for sure. But in terms of the effect on one's digestion, possibly somewhat similar. I still think the white processed table salt would have to be the nastiest. In every regard.
Yeah.
Its effect on your stomach.
Hey, Freely.
Hey, Freely. How you going?
Hello.
Welcome. Hola.
Hola, chica. ¿Cómo estás? So try to minimize the salt. And I think that was definitely one of the problems. Now everyone's saying hi freely. Hello, TBC. I think that was definitely one of the problems in the Hong Kong food that we were eating. Because it was high.
Definitely.
Super palatable. As soon as we started eating, we're like, oh my God, this is so tasty.
Yeah.
Whole Foods goes out the window.
And there was we had no shut-off mechanism, did we?
Did you see the videos? We were just destroying
come on, guys.
buffet.
How much food? That was insane.
Yeah.
And we don't eat that much when we're eating mainly whole plant foods with low sodium and minimal condiments. But when it's all in there, the salt, the oil, the sugar,
it's so palatable.
Flavor and artificial flavors. Oh my God.
There was no shut off. And we'd finish, 1 plate, 2 plates. Oh, we'll just have some more. Oh, here comes dessert.
Insane amount of food.
It's like we were physically full, but the mind and the taste buds just weren't saying, okay, shut up, stop.
Yeah.
There was no
They were being
breaks.
hijacked.
Yeah.
The natural satiation mechanisms of our bodies were being hijacked by all that hyperpalatable food.
And what that does is, of course, that complicates your digestion, because when you eat so much, then you're so full, and that causes obviously a huge amount of bloating and digestive issues.
So we got to ask the question, is it what you eat or how much you eat? It's actually both.
Both. If you're going to eat well beyond satiation, then you're going to have problems. And the more processed foods, the more
hyperpalatable foods you have, the easier it is to overeat.
Yes.
And I must say though, even since going back, I've made the mistake on, I think, 2 nights since we've been back in the 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Even with our mainly whole plant foods and minimal condiments,
Yeah.
I've accidentally overeaten twice.
Me too.
At the end of the day. And you know what it is? The Japanese,
it tastes so good.
The Japanese baked sweet potatoes,
Yeah.
they are so tasty. And sometimes we have a tendency to cook more than we need, and we're like, oh, if we don't eat it, we'll set it aside and have it for leftovers tomorrow. But at least we've got it if we want it. The problem is if it's there on your plate, even without any condiments or anything, it is so tasty in itself that even if you, like I've been full a couple of times, it's fully satiated, but it's there on my plate, instead of setting it aside, I've eaten it.
We eat it.
And then I've paid the price, you know. Just
you don't
overeaten, don't sleep as well.
You don't sleep as well. Now, this is a big thing. It's taking us on to the next topic of having spaces between your meals and sleeping well. So, finishing your dinner, and we do want a bit of we should have done this at the beginning of the live stream. Bit of a disclaimer: we're not experts. We're basing this information off our experience, our experimentation, also what we've read and heard from other people. So you do, as we said, you have to experiment for yourself.
Yeah, these are just tips, pointers, and all of it's coming from our experience.
Yeah.
But, you know, try it for yourself.
Try it for yourself. So the earlier you finish your dinner, we find, the better we digest our food and the better we feel the next morning, the better we sleep.
Yeah.
So it all makes a difference. We've got into a very bad habit where we eat too late.
Yeah, like so our cutoff is generally 7:30 p.m. and then we go to bed at 10 p.m. So we've had 2.5 hours before going to bed for our dinner to begin to digest, so that when we go to bed, we can fall asleep quite quickly. And then we'll, you know, the body might spend the next, you know, hour and a half or so digesting that final meal, and then it'll get on to, you know, the repair and restoration of, you know, everything in the body that, you know,
that it does overnight when you're sleeping.
Exactly, you know, release of human growth hormone and so on.
Ideally, we would love to finish eating at 7 p.m. You know, and that's what we always recommend to people.
Lately, there's been a couple of nights of, you know, 7:45 and 7:50, and even just that 15-20 minutes after we would normally finish eating, it's made a difference, hasn't it?
It has made a difference. It's too late. And so what we do try to do is keep a break between finishing dinner and having breakfast. Allow the system just to process the day before, and that feels much better.
Definitely.
You wake up, you know.
Yeah, and we leave a minimum of 12 hours.
Yes.
So, you know, when it's 12 hours, it's because we're going to have a pre-workout snack for gym the next morning. And but if we do cardio, we always we do our cardio fasted. So if
because it doesn't feel good to run with food in your stomach, like you get a stitch.
Yeah,
so we do
and
that.
cycling uphill, we're not fans of you know, having food in our stomach either. So there are 3 activities: gym, running, and cycling. On a gym day, we will have a pre-workout snack because we just feel like we get more of it out of our workout. You know, if we're lifting, just have something in the stomach. But cardio, we don't. So on a gym day, it's 12 hours between finishing dinner and starting breakfast. On a cardio day, it's 14.5 hours between finishing dinner and having breakfast. And both those gaps of 12 to 14.5 hours we find really
helps. Yeah, exactly. Somebody asked, do we still have greens with our meals? Yes, we do when we can have greens. So on the island, the greens were very difficult to get. It was too hot and they were just spoiled or very bitter.
Yeah, that's the fresh greens.
We
were having cooked greens in the form of morning glory, which may or may not be called swamp cabbage in the US, not entirely sure, but it's an Asian vegetable, and also kale and broccoli and okra. They were the green vegetables that we were having.
Yeah.
We're still having all of those here, plus baby cos or romaine lettuce, which we can get now in the city.
Yeah.
You reading something there?
Yeah, we're trying to keep up with the chat as well. I know you guys are sending us things. Okay. So now that we do have more greens available to us, yes, we are eating greens. And does that make a difference? I mean, we've always thought that it did. And you have to eat greens. They're very good for you. So
I find if we're eating cooked food
yeah,
in a warm climate,
yes,
I just find the greens balance out the meal, not the fresh greens.
yeah,
I'm not sure whether it necessarily aids digestion or
yeah.
not.
Okay, so do you want to keep going? I'm going to read
Yeah,
some of
sure.
these things here to try and
Sure.
keep up with people's questions.
Okay. Some other tips, guys. Eating ripe fruit only. If you eat unripe fruit, that has the potential to give you digestive discomfort, little stabbing pains. So just make sure most varieties of bananas typically need to be a little spotty before they're ripe and ready to eat. So keep that in mind. So just ripe fruit. Generally, each fruit has its own unique characteristics of when it'll be ripe. Generally, it'll smell sweet. That's one common characteristic. And it often doesn't look as pretty on the outside as it did when it was perhaps bought in the store when it was unripe. But you have to experiment with each individual fruit.
Yeah, so a question that was being asked in the chat is eating smaller meals better or less frequently? So again, going back to what we said before, if you're going to overeat, then that's going to affect your digestion. So for some people, eating smaller meals throughout the day is better than 3 big meals. Again, it's something that you have to try out. For some people, eating 3 big meals is fine. So try it out. I think definitely whether you're eating lots of smaller meals or 3 big meals, if you overeat at any meal, that's going to not be good for digestion, and that's going to contribute to bloating. So it's the two things, as we said before, how much you're eating at each meal and what you're eating as well.
Back to fruit. All types of melons ideally should be eaten first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, other than hydrating before. So have some water first, and then if you're going to have melons at all, have them first thing on the morning on that empty stomach just after drinking water. If you have them later in the day after cooked food, because their water content is so high, they can very quickly catch up to any cooked food that you ate beforehand and potentially cause fermentation in certain sensitive people. So just be aware of that. Maybe you've got guts of steel and you can have, a full, big lunch, and then you can finish it off with watermelon and you won't have a problem. That could be you.
Maybe.
I hope it is. It's
It
not.
ain't
It doesn't.
us.
No. Having said that, even sometimes when we have it first thing on an empty stomach and follow that rule and haven't eaten since the night before, it can sometimes be a trigger for you.
For me. Very rarely will I have a good day if I start with watermelon. I love it and I'll still eat it, but I know that it's going to cause a few problems. Not just another guy. This is funny. He says, I'm eating dinner right now. It's 1:28 a.m.
Oh my God!
No! But I go to bed around 6 a.m. and wake up at 2 p.m. So I think I'm good, just different. Oh my gosh. Maybe you do night shift or something.
Yeah.
That would seriously
Back to the melon.
stuff us up. I don't know.
Back to the melon. Some people experience melon belly. Those cramps or stabbing pains immediately after eating melon or shortly thereafter. Or some people even experience that melon belly after eating any type of sweet fruit, be it bananas or sweet red papayas or mangoes.
Yeah.
For some people, in our experience...
Someone said actually that papaya was the thing that helped their digestion. I was reading a comment someone posted, but
yeah, papaya can be very good for digestion. I remember when we used to eat a lot of that in Brisbane a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Remember we were going very frequently to the bathroom, weren't we?
Yes.
Anyway, back to that melon belly. If you are experiencing that, it could potentially be, and has been for others, a chromium deficiency, which can be easily rectified with a green powder that is very rich in chromium. A friend of ours back in Brisbane, she was experiencing really bad melon belly with the bananas, sweet red papayas and mangoes, and she took some of the green powder high in chromium, and that rectified that melon belly, and she could eat the bananas, the sweet red papayas and the mangoes without any problems thereafter. So maybe keep that in mind.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to bring up...
Fermented foods?
No. Hold on. There's something else that someone... What is it? Where is it? Oh, yeah. Somebody asked... This is a really good question. Where is it? I think it was on Facebook. Hold on.
Which one?
Do we come... Here. Got it. So somebody asked on Facebook, "Hi guys, I get digestive problems very easily, even from whole plant foods. I'm wondering how you guys are able to eat
to
reset your digestive system." Oh no, that's the wrong question. I'm sorry.
What are you looking for? And I'll keep going.
No, it's the one about basically, do we become more sensitive?
Yeah, okay.
Here it is. I'm sorry.
No, it's this one here. I'll read it for you,
yes.
and then you can answer.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Do you think eating clean and whole foods makes us more vulnerable for E numbers, bacteria, and viruses? Is our resistance getting lower? Although I believe my resistance is even better being vegan because I've never been sick since.
Yeah, so that's the question. Very interesting. And I think what it is I think the cleaner we have eaten in the last few years, we are more sensitive because you have that relativity. So before, when we were eating everything and we were non-vegan, we didn't know what it felt like to have, really good clean bowel movements and not feel bloated and have great digestion. So we didn't have any relativity, and the not feeling good just felt normal. Whereas now, when you do feel good and you go and introduce something that's not so good and you've got that not so good feeling, you're more aware of it.
Definitely. So, for example,
Do you know what I mean?
experience in Hong Kong, well, we used to eat like that
all the time.
So we had no relativity, so that's how we always felt.
Yeah.
But now that we eat a lot cleaner at home most of the time,
it really stands out for us. Yeah. So I think that's what it is, and I do think...
Go on, no.
I do think that you do, in a way, become a little bit more sensitive.
Yeah.
We found it just affects you more.
But like that person said, we also don't get sick either, or very, very rarely. I think it's been almost a year now since we've even had, a cold or something like that. We wake up every day. How you feel digestive-wise might differ from day to day, but other than that, how we feel is always very, very much the same. Just healthy, up and at 'em type thing.
Yeah.
And that's again the vegan, predominantly whole foods diet for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the incidences of getting sick.
Yeah. So, somebody is asking here.
Few and far between. I just can't remember the last.
So I do think you do become a little bit more sensitive.
Yeah. Digestive wise.
Somebody said, do we take any green powders?
We don't
ourselves?
Personally,
No.
Because we don't experience that melon-belly. But if we did, we would suspect a chromium deficiency, and therefore we would, get one and try to rectify it that way.
Yeah, and this person, hold on, where is it? Oh, they're called F the System. Nice name. Spirulina, chlorella, kelp, etc. What are your thoughts? We used to take spirulina a lot, didn't we? We mix it with orange juice.
Yeah, this was like probably 5 years ago.
Yeah.
6 years ago. Yeah.
I don't know. We believed in it back then, and maybe it does do good things for you. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It's kind of, what is it? Spirulina is it's algae.
Pond scum.
Yeah.
They cultivate it in ponds.
Yeah. I think I can turn those lights off. Keep going.
Yeah. I mean, if it works for you and you enjoy it, go for it. We haven't found it as a necessary part of our diet for the last 5 years. But definitely if it works for you.
Yeah, we also used to take, was it barley grass or something? Shots?
Oh, hang on a sec. Jamez, you both are an amazing comfort in this crazy world. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your contribution.
Really, really appreciate it.
That's lovely. Thank you so much.
For your kind words.
What was her name? I missed it.
Jamez.
Oh, here we are. Jamez. $2. Thank you so much. Jammers. Maybe it's Jammers. Thank you so much for your contribution. That's lovely. Yeah.
We used to take the powders?
We used to take the powders, but I remember we used to take something in India.
Barley grass powder.
Oh my God,
wheatgrass
guys.
powder, one of the two.
I think it was wheatgrass powder, or maybe it was a mix. Let us know if you've ever taken this kind of stuff. And we take off the lid, and from across the room, I would have this nausea. Like, I could not even stand the smell. It would just make me want to vomit. So that's the body saying, I don't want it, I don't like it, don't make me have it, you know.
Oh, Cammy! Oh, thank you so much, Cammy.
Cammy just gave $20. That's very, very sweet. Cammy is an amazing supporter. That's too
generous, Cammy. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh.
We have to say, recently we put out a post saying, I think we got a lot on, we're really busy, I think we made a video actually, didn't we? And we were saying, you know, we've got all of these irons on the fire at the moment, we're quite snowed under. Let us know in the comments below if you can relate in any way. And Cammy left this comment that really knocked us off our feet, didn't she? Yeah, you know, she said, I do this, and
she's got so many grandchildren, and we're like, what?
Oh,
that's a lot.
How do you even have time to watch our YouTube
Stop
videos?
watching us. Go and do your things. It's very sweet. Yeah. So thank you so much. Getting back to the comments here, somebody says...
All the kids, 22 grandkids.
Oh my God.
One busy lady.
Woo. Wheatgrass powder shots are the worst. Brittany Marie. Yes, they are the worst. Wheatgrass shots I can do better than the powder. I don't know why, but there was something about that powder that's just awful. Yeah, the powder's
different to having the other stuff juiced, isn't it? The actual wheatgrass itself.
Yeah. Vegan apple. It's so awesome to see you live. It's so different and connecting. That's cool. Thank you. All right, where are our notes?
Okay, so I wanted to talk about fermented foods briefly.
Yeah, we get asked a lot about fermented foods. What do we think of kombucha? Because that's very popular.
Yeah, so now if you love it, and everything's hunky-dory, working, you know, fine with your digestive system, great, go for it. If, however, you're having some digestive issues and kombucha is part of your diet, try eliminating kombucha because it's a fermented product. And some people with fermented products have, you know, digestive sensitivities.
Yeah.
So that could be one of the triggers for your poor digestion. Take it out, leave it out for a while, see how things improve. If nothing improves, then perhaps it wasn't that's causing the problems and you can bring it back in.
It's really up to you.
And that goes for other fermented products too, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
I was thinking coconut yogurt. We were experimenting with that for a while back on the island, weren't we?
Yes, we were.
And we were enjoying the taste of it, adding it to our banana and oats of the morning.
And then I did start bloating a little bit, and I wasn't sure if it was the coconut yogurt, so we took it out. But now, as I said, the bloating kind of happens after lunch, so I don't know. And I also want to say that sometimes, you know, there's no rhyme or reason.
Excuse me.
Blowing his nose. You know, sometimes it can just be different things on different days, so that's where it is tricky to kind of work it out.
Yeah, but we suspect that might have been...
May have been, I don't know.
Other fermented products...
Yes, there's an aeroplane. We live in there's always airplanes going on.
I think that's the... No, I was going to say it's the 6 a.m. to Hong Kong, but it's a little bit later. But it's a little bit later.
Another question here, hold on, I just want to keep up with these. Where did it go? Bugger. Oh, Hold on. Somebody said, I'm pretty sure they asked, what if you skip a meal, if you're so bloated, would that help? Yes, that would help, you know.
There it is, yeah. Can skipping meals and then eating make you bloat more?
Oh, Emma asked, if you skip a meal and then you eat...
Or skipping meals, like maybe consecutive meals and then you...
Maybe...
Depends what
it's just going to depend, you know, why are you skipping meals? Have you not been well and you don't have an appetite, or are you restricting? You don't want to restrict, right? You just want to eat to satiation
of the right foods, predominantly whole plant foods.
But if you are experiencing terribly bad bloating, then maybe skip a meal and just let it go down before introducing more food.
Yeah.
You know, see how that goes. Somebody's asking about bread and pasta, I think. Is that what their question is? Possibly.
So first of all, about 1% of the population has celiac disease, which is, you know, very few people. But if you are one of that 1%, obviously glutinous products are not going to be great for you. You can get gluten-free pastas and breads, of course, so you can look for those. If you don't have celiac disease, you don't have any kind of wheat allergy, you might have a gluten or wheat sensitivity. So it's not an allergy, but it doesn't agree with your digestion. So if that's the case, again, look for the gluten-free alternatives for the breads and the pastas. As for bread and pastas themselves,
someone's asking, do we eat them? Yes, we do eat them, just occasionally. So we used to eat a lot more pasta than we currently do. These days we'll have pasta like
once a month?
Maybe, yeah.
Like for example,
like
that
a backup meal.
The chickpea pasta recipe that we just put up on the channel. We made that on the island about a month ago, or maybe 5 weeks ago was the last time we had it.
I mean, we've had noodles since then, because, I'm the noodle queen, so that's technically pasta, but that was because we were travelling.
That's right. So we don't tend to cook them at home, but because we tend to travel, say, every 3 months or so for a couple of days, we know we're going to have some noodles or some pasta or some bread at that time, so we tend to let that be our pasta noodle bread time.
Yes, Hannah, gotta love a good noodle. Now I did want to answer, someone asked about alcohol.
Everyone knows alcohol is bad for you, but does it also kill off your good gut bacteria? Okay, potentially. I don't know scientifically 100% one way or another whether it does or it doesn't. All I know is it's very, very taxing on the liver. And our life has certainly improved since eliminating alcohol.
Drinking.
How many years now?
Ooh,
8 years. 8 years in November it will be.
All right, we're gonna mow through some questions here because it's getting late for our moderators.
Okay.
I just want to. Who's going to get in first? I want to answer some things here.
Okay.
How long do you take something out to determine if that thing is causing the problem? It depends. If you notice a difference straight away, then great. I guess a few days, just to see if anything changes. Maybe a week if you're not sure. It really depends. This is where it's all an individual thing. If it's been a week and you're still not experiencing any difference, then obviously it's not that thing.
I'd say within the week you should be able to determine whether it was that particular item that you've eliminated or not, for sure. It might only be a matter of days, but no more than a week, I would imagine.
No more than a week, Any advice on dealing with gas? Trumpet bum. Sometimes I have pain on my lower sides. I've tried activated charcoal and what is that?
And my choleric.
Okay, lady suggested cooking with kombu. Yeah, again, gas is a reaction of bad digestion. So all the things we've been talking about, you want to get to the root cause of it. It's not just how can I fix the gas. It's what's causing the gas. So I think
the gas is the symptom.
Exactly.
And the cause is the bacteria. And the cause of the bacteria are the type of things that we've been discussing in this live stream. So
I love your podcast. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Glad to hear you're enjoying the podcast, guys. I think we've had over 85-star reviews on iTunes from around the world now. So if you haven't yet tuned into the podcast, do so. People are really, really enjoying it. We're enjoying making them. It's something different. Some different TVC content on there. So check them out if you haven't already.
Will you be making a response to Nikki Blackletter? We're going to do a
Blackletter.
Yeah,
I know. I always got to say Blackletter as well because it's BL and then anyway.
Yeah.
But it's
Tony says, how many views did you say? Downloads for the podcast?
How many views? Oh, we said we've had 80 5-star reviews on iTunes from all around the world so far.
Yes, and we've had how many downloads? About
43,000.
From about 12 episodes or 13 episodes. So yes, back to Nikki Blackletter. We're going to do a mukbang semi-response video over the weekend. So we're going to include her in that.
Thank you, Bobby. Podcasts are awesome, she says.
Don't worry about the time for me. I'm happy to be up, Hannah.
Someone says, is it okay to eat almonds every day? Yes, it is. Just don't, make almonds the basis of your diet. Nuts and seeds. Some nuts and seeds every day. Definitely go for it. Just, try to keep, say, total calories from fat around or under 20%. So if you're overdoing the nuts and the seeds, you could quickly get that up quite high. But no one really overdoes it too much, except I remember when we first started on a vegan diet, we got into the gourmet raw vegan food, and that's very nut and seed focused.
Oh, that caused a lot of problems for us.
We were making nut and seed breads and crackers and putting them in the dehydrator and what have you, and so much of our diet was coming from nuts, seeds, avocados, oils, coconuts, and it was just too much.
Yeah.
So, but if you're just having, a handful of almonds every day, go for it. Very good.
Okay, Hannah Salmon says, will going vegan help reduce menstrual pain and bloating? Menstrual pain, definitely. My God,
Fix mine. No. Go on. This is yours.
Wow, that's an insight. Yes, I used to have the worst menstrual pain. It was awful. They thought I had endometriosis, but I didn't. It was just chronic pain. I was crippled for so many days out of the month. And going vegan definitely helped that. And these days, it's next to nothing. I mean, you'll still, you know that you've got your period, of course, but I can still function. I still work during the day. I usually don't exercise just because you don't feel like it. But sometimes I'll exercise in the morning and then I'll get it in the afternoon. And I'm just not crippled with pain anymore. It's really great. So you definitely want to take the animal products out to help with your menstrual pain. 100%. And of course, again, the cleaner you eat, get rid of the oil, get rid of the processed foods, whole plant foods, just feels so much better around that time of the month. So that's going to help.
Someone said, are avocados good? Yes,
Yay!
They are. Eat your avocados. We've actually had a couple of good ones since coming back to the city, because the ones on the island, they were few and far between, so we've had a few good ones.
Which is very rare for us here.
Is. Someone else said, why do some people lose their period when they go on a vegan diet? Most typically because they're eating less calories on a vegan diet than they were on a animal products based diet, because plant foods typically have fewer calories per bite. And what happens is they tend to sit down to the same size meal that they were eating when they were eating an animal products based diet, which by default typically will have less calories. So at the end of the day, they're eating a total number of less calories. And then if the body doesn't have enough calories to perform all of the necessary functions, it starts prioritizing those functions. And often menstruation will be one of the things that's not required for survival per se. So it'll, let that one go, put that on hold, stop the period, so that it uses the remaining calories to do all the things necessary for survival. So it's generally speaking a calorie issue. So just make sure that you're eating either larger volumes of food at each meal than you were when you're eating animal products based, or you're eating high calorie plant-based foods, so higher in fat, for example. So make sure you are including nuts, seeds, avocados, and those type of things in your diet. On the fermented foods that we were talking about before, other examples in addition to coconut yogurt and other plant-based yogurts include kombucha, which we also spoke about, kefirs. Some people have coconut kefir or water kefir. They're also fermented foods. If you are experiencing difficulty with your digestion, I know a lot of people promote them as remedies to poor digestion and as promoting good digestion. In some people, they can have the opposite effect. So just check if that's you. Also, some soy products, tempeh, tofu, they're all fermented products. Most people are fine with them. Other people, they can be triggers for them. So keep an eye on those. As a soy sauce and tamari, although that is soy free.
It's such an experimenting.
Actually, it's wheat
process.
free.
It's
Tamari is wheat free. It's still soy based. What was the other one? I think. Yeah, that's it. For fermented foods. Oh, probiotics.
Probiotics, yeah.
Pros and cons. I used to be the probiotic king. I used to have the worst digestion in the world. I could sometimes, very easily skip a bowel movement, like not have a bowel movement a whole day, or it would come right at the end of the day after really trying. Basically, digestion was all screwed up, and I thought probiotics would help. I was taking them for years, but I was actually finding that they would make me bloat more.
They made me bloat a lot. I never used to have problems with constipation. I remember doing a round of probiotics after we fasted for a month. Don't fast. And the bloating and constipation after that experience was awful. So, you know how somebody asked earlier on, if you skip a few meals, is that going to help or worsen bloating? I found that it made it worse when I didn't eat when I was fasting. It reintroduced food and my bloating was terrible, plus the probiotics. So you don't want to muck about too much, you know?
Some people find them handy when they're transitioning from a standard Western diet to a, predominantly plant-based diet.
Yeah, because some of the plant-based doctors say to take them for a short time.
Because the bacteria required to properly digest, plant-based foods like, legumes, for example, are quite different to those required to, break down animal products. So to help your gut bacteria transition and to, cultivate a population of, friendly gut bacteria for, plant-based foods, a probiotic can help some people. Having said that, do make sure that it's vegan, because the vast majority of probiotics sold out there on the market are not vegan. So if you are going to experiment with one, at least make sure that it's vegan. And then when you do, make sure that it doesn't make your digestion worse.
Yeah. Somebody asks, how long does it take for the body to get used to the increased fibre on a vegan diet?
How long's a piece of string?
That was going to be my answer, Everyone's going to be different. Some people have no problems at all, but most people will experience a little bit of, oh, okay, this is different, Let's get through some more questions here.
Do you think eating healthy foods every day will develop intolerances? For example, the same beans, whole grains, etc.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I don't think so, because we're supposed to eat those foods. True?
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to...
we like to rotate our legumes anyway, just to get a variety of nutrients. So, one day we'll have red kidney beans, the next day we'll have black beans, the next day chickpeas, the next day mung beans, the next day little red beans, the next day lentils. So we like to eat a variety. Plus, it's more variety for us and more enjoyable rather than having the same legume every day. And I think when you rotate through them like that, you're going to have no problems whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think maybe if you had the same legume day in, day out, but I don't think most people are going to do that. They're going to rotate. Change it up.
Someone asked, how many times a day should you go to the toilet? Well...
I think a minimum of one bowel movement a day is great. I think anything up to, say, 4 bowel movements a day sounds fine. Yeah. Beyond which, maybe there's an issue.
Well, it depends what you're eating. Like when we were doing, high fruit and a lot of papaya especially, that was just cleaning out the pipes. Yeah. So we were, pooping a lot more then.
Yeah, but how much at that point do you think? Still not much more than
not much more than 4, maybe 5 on a big day.
5,
I don't know.
That was very high fruit based, like 2 of our meals being fruit based, and the other one being a cooked meal.
Yeah.
But I think aiming for a minimum of one bowel movement a day, and as Dr. Greger says, the science shows bigger is better. Yeah. So
Yeah.
It's like taking out the trash, isn't it? You don't want that trash accumulating in your colon. It's not good for anyone.
Casually talking about fecal matter. That's what we do here.
That's what we do. We like to talk the shit. Yeah.
I go between 2 to 4.
Yeah,
super
great.
clean.
Yeah, awesome.
Pooping is good. Pooping is necessary.
Yeah, pooping is necessary for sure.
Yeah.
And also the way that you poop.
Oh my gosh.
If we talk about it for a moment, Western style toilets, it's like at an L shape or a 90-degree angle. But if before Western style toilets, we've got pre-Stone Age bodies. Think about it. You're out in the wild. You're not sitting in an L shape. You are squatting.
You're squatting. This is how you squat.
Yeah.
Ready? Hold on, you can see my undies. You want to squat.
Yeah. So now I get up on the toilet seat and I do that, and it's just out, nothing, no mess, no nothing. It's fantastic.
You're like getting to the demo on the toilet. You don't have to squat on the toilet because you could break the seat. I've been telling him, please don't stand on the toilet. You just need
70 kilos, no problems yet, but
still raise your knees so you can put a bucket
Yep.
under your feet, or some books, or a brick,
or a stool.
a stool. There you go.
A stool for your stools.
I hope no one's eating at the moment.
I know.
So yeah, raising the knees is going to change the position, the structure of
the
your
flexion of the colon.
and that is how you get a
Clean bowel movement. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're talking about clean
Yeah.
poop.
No, it's important.
It is important
We're
because-
talking about digestion.
Well,
How can you not talk about the end product?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. We have created such a world where not only don't we know how to eat properly and what foods we're supposed to be eating, but we also don't know how to poop properly.
Yeah.
We're not designed to sit when we poop, as you explained. We're designed to squat.
Yeah.
All animals in nature, when you watch your pets or whatever, what do? They squat, they hunch, and they. So, there you go.
Yeah.
Be like an animal and squat.
And that's why they
Quote
have
me on that.
squatting toilets in Asia, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
I love the squatting
a
toilets.
lot of the times there's no Western style toilets, and there's
Yeah.
just squatting style toilets.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's got the
And
comments all.
who knows if that is related to lower bowel disease rates in the East, for example.
Yeah, well,
it could be correlated with that higher intake of plant-based foods amongst the traditional diets.
Yeah. And someone says not just in Asia, Eastern Europe too. Yes, I remember that. My family's from Eastern Europe, and we have travelled in Eastern Europe, and yes, they do have the squat toilets there too.
Yeah.
In Asia, for example, there's lower rates of colon cancer. Obviously, because they don't eat, traditionally they're not eating so much meat, red meat in particular,
That's
but
right.
also the squatting technique allows
That's
for
right.
full
Yeah.
evacuation. So if you've got poop, the garbage accumulating in your colon, that's going to no doubt cause disease.
Yeah.
It's like not taking out the trash in your home. If
Yeah.
you leave that there and it builds up and the bacteria start and everything starts fermenting and there's maggots and, think about it.
Someone says, hang ropes over the toilet and hang there until you learn to live here.
And to learn to levitate poop in the proper position.
I got a visual.
That's awesome.
You do have to have a bit of balance, I think. Hold on, someone says, thoughts on colonics to clean the system. Oh, we used to do them.
Yeah, we used to do them thinking that was
Not fans.
helpful.
No.
Our position has definitely changed. Basically, whole plant foods that are high in fiber are...
Is your cleanse.
That's your cleanse. The body cleans itself. We don't need the external application of cleansing apparatuses. We just need to put the right foods in, and the body is infinitely intelligent and is designed to clean itself, and fiber is the key to that.
Yeah, and also, I'm just reading the comments. These are hilarious. Poop workout, trapoop artist. That is very clever. Trapeze artist?
Yeah.
Trapoop artist,
very
when you're
good.
holding onto the ropes. The other thing is when you do a colon cleanse, not only you're flushing out a lot of the good bacteria.
Yeah.
Because everything comes out.
That's
and so
right.
that's not good.
I remember when I was trying to heal my chronic candida, which I had for 7 years, and we were trying colonics, weren't we?
Yes.
And every time I would do a colonic, it would flush out not only, basically it would flush out the good bacteria, and the Candida albicans had little sort of hooks on them, and they would tend to hook to the lining of the colon, and they wouldn't flush out as easily as the good bacteria.
Yeah. Well, that's what
And
we read about what they do.
And so I actually found that they then overpopulated. Like my symptoms would get worse because in the absence of the friendly bacteria to keep the Candida albicans in check, they would bloom, if you like.
Yeah.
And so colonics definitely didn't help there. In the end, the only thing was eating a high carbohydrate, low fat, mainly whole plant foods diet that cured my candida after 7 years.
Yeah, I think unless...
And getting my pooping frequent, and
yes,
regular.
Exactly. I think unless you've got like a chronic...
Getting the right gut bacteria.
Exactly. If you've got a chronic disease, if you're in a lot of pain, then yes, colonics can help with that, relieve pain, and well, that's what we've That's what we've heard, that's what we've read, and people's experience has been that. But if you're not in a lot of pain and you're just an average person, I personally, I wouldn't recommend them, just from our experience. Yeah. But
Somebody said, what is Candida? Candida is naturally present in everybody's body, and it's generally balanced out by other bacteria, and when you can have too much sugar in the blood, let's say you're eating a high-fat diet and the muscle cells have become full of fat, and so you eat some high carbohydrate food, and insulin tries to transport the glucose in the bloodstream to the muscle cell, but it can't get in, and the blood sugar level rises. The pancreas pumps out more insulin to try and mop up that excess blood sugar. If those symptoms persist, Candida albicans can be the backup system to the pancreas, and the Candida can come and eat up the excess sugar in the bloodstream to bring blood sugar levels back down to normal. So that's how you can get an overgrowth of Candida. So as I said, the cure for me was the same as it would be to cure a pre-diabetic stage, and that is to reduce the amount of fat, in particular saturated fat in the diet, and increase the amount of carbohydrates and protein, and that did it for me, and mainly whole plant foods, increasing the amount of fibre and getting the bowel movements regular. That's what
did it
for me.
Next question: what specific foods are easiest for you to digest? Personally, we find oatmeal and bananas, our breakfasts, always digest the best. Next, I would say potatoes, and going down the scale from there. But again, everyone's going to be different. So
and Cami Black mentioned water being very important. Water and fibre, they're the two key things, I think. If you were to say, what are the most important factors for digestion? Fibre and water. So you need, water to get things moving. Often the absorption of nutrients is water dependent. So you want to make sure that you're properly hydrated before eating. If you're already dehydrated and then you eat, it's going to make you further dehydrated. So make sure you're properly hydrated before you eat. So we're always drinking a minimum of a litre or quart of water.
Sometimes I have about 750 mils. Like that's quarts. My green. That's my green bottle. Sometimes that's enough, and if I'm full with that, I'll stop. But it's between 750 to a litre.
And the warmer the climate, and the more you exercise and sweat, the more water you're going to need.
Exactly.
The colder it is, and the less you exercise and sweat, the less you're going to need.
I've just noticed in the comments there's someone talking about really bad digestion and how many calories to eat, and they're recovering from an eating disorder, and they've got bad digestion. They're always in pain. If you're recovering from an eating disorder, then your digestion is going to be probably an absolute mess because you're not used to eating enough food, and so now all of a sudden you're introducing more food, and the stomach has to work out what to do, and the muscles have to work out how to push that food through, because
the peristaltic muscles there.
Because they get lazy when they're not having to deal with enough sufficient food for a day. So there is going to definitely be a time where it's just not feeling too good. I think you just have to kind of keep going and work through that time, and just slowly keep introducing more food. It's going to improve, but you will no doubt experience more problems if you're recovering from an eating disorder. That's just the way it is. In terms of calories, there have been some questions there. 2,000 calories is kind of like the standard baseline.
Yeah, like if you look at a packet of food, it'll typically say these amounts are based on a standard 2,000 calorie diet. Now, everybody's individual energy requirements are going to be different based on your gender, age, height, weight, activity levels, medical and health condition. So there is no one size fits all. 2,000 is like an average standard for an adult in order to maintain adequate health from a nutritional perspective. The World Health Organization also uses around 2,000 to 2,100 in terms of that healthy adult nutritional requirement. So around that mark, and that's going to be, you know, a little too much for some individuals, you know, who fall into, you know, some, depending on those other factors variables I mentioned, and then it's going to be not enough for other individuals.
Yeah.
So just work it out. Basically, the more whole plant foods that you eat, the more you'll be able to eat to satiation and listen to your body's natural satiation triggers. And because those mechanisms will work when they're not hijacked by hyperpalatable foods that are, you know, loaded with salt, oil, sugar, artificial flavors and enhancers.
Yeah. So that's that.
And also, like, you know, it's when you're eating more processed foods like white rice and white pasta, they're also not triggering satiation the same way because a lot of the fiber's been extracted.
Yeah.
So, you know, we often find we're able to eat a lot more of those than we are if we were going to eat whole grain pasta or the whole grains themselves.
I just find white rice doesn't touch the sides. I can just eat it and eat it and eat it, and I'm not full until I kind of, like, a little bit after I stop eating it. Do you know what I mean? Like when you stop eating food and you wait a little bit, then you go, oh, okay, now I'm full. But while I'm eating it, I just feel like I can keep going.
Yeah.
I can't do that with brown rice. So there is a difference. And again, you just need to experiment to feel the difference. We're not going to get into more calories. I know the calorie questions are coming up. Should you count calories? Yes, to make sure you're eating enough, okay? Because our priority is keeping people vegan. And one of the number one reasons that people stop eating vegan food is because they start to feel weak, they have health problems, iron deficient, I'm this, I'm that. And 99% of the time it's because they're not eating enough. So once you learn how to eat enough, then you don't need to count calories anymore, but you need to make sure that you're having enough. Will you gain weight? Depends on what's going on. If you're coming from an eating disorder and you're very underweight or you've been restricting your whole life, then you start eating more calories, then yeah, you probably are going to gain, and you probably need to as well. So now I'm getting into calories. I said I wouldn't do it. It's too big. It's a whole other topic. Just eat whole plant foods, eat to satiation, eat enough, stay vegan. I'm digging a hole for myself.
Zach Budnick says, can I still get nutrients if I don't eat grains due to allergies? Yes. Definitely. Now, work out, Zach, are you sure that you're allergic to all grains?
Yeah.
Because there are so many different, you know, whole grains. You know, you can have rice, millet, what else have you got? Then you got grain-like seeds like buckwheat, quinoa, amaranth. There's bulgur wheat, barley, Job's tears.
You sound like Forrest Gump.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many. So make sure that you're not, you know, allergic to all of them.
Yeah.
And so experiment with different ones. But even if you were, for example, yes, you can eat plenty of legumes, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and still meet your nutritional requirements. Starchy root vegetables.
Bubba.
Yeah. Greens.
Yeah. Good. All right. So I think.
Somebody says the max to go. Yes, Zach, use Chronometer to calculate your nutrients. Yeah, great tool, Chronometer.
Yeah.
What did you want to say?
I was going to say we've done. Oh, the last thing we wanted to mention is that stress and anxiety and just being upset, you know, emotional stuff can definitely manifest in the stomach. There's a great book that we read years ago. It was about body wisdom. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was called Body Wisdom. I can't remember. But you know, we have certain expressions, and they came about because of, you know, there's a certain element of truth to them. Yeah. So, you know, the expression, I feel sick to my stomach. Well, that's because we hold a lot of energy in our stomach, a lot of emotion in our stomach. And so when we're upset, a lot of that can manifest in the stomach. So if there's a lot of things that you're upset about, if you're anxious, if you're stressed, all of that kind of stuff, that can definitely be contributing to not digesting your food very well. So maybe think about that as well. Definitely. You know, in addition to the food stuff, the practical stuff, I think we do need to be more holistic in how we approach health and our bodies and how things are working or not working. Yeah,
because where the mind goes, the body follows.
Yeah.
So if you are stressed anxious, emotional, upset, you know, perhaps not the best time to eat because it's likely to affect your digestion.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, definitely. Good. So they're the main things that we wanted to talk about, and we've gone for about an hour and 15.
For someone who lives in a 4-season climate, how do you suggest we stay vegan during the winter? Eat cooked food. I think maybe Cami Black I saw had written eat cooked food. I'm not sure if it was in response to that question. It could have been. But yeah, no different to how you'd stay vegan in a 2-season climate.
Yeah.
Just eat cooked food that's warming, that's hearty, that's satiating. So a lot of soups. We've got a great soup recipe on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Because we say it's a great one because it's a good base from which you can build and you can add and subtract from to make, you know, whatever soup creation that you like. But do check it out.
Yeah,
it is really yummy. It's our staple when the weather gets a bit cooler.
Cooler, like we might need to put a pair of socks on or something.
No, yeah, it's going to get cooler here. We're in the mountains
I
now,
wore a t-shirt yesterday for about an hour. That was cold.
And you
in
had
the
on
morning.
some 3/4 pants for about
That's
the
how
same time.
I put my leggings on.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just cook your food, make it nice and warm, and that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Don't try and do the whole raw thing when you're cold. It's not going to help. It's not going to keep you vegan. All right, guys. I think we might wind it up. Sorry if we didn't get through all of your questions, but hopefully we answered a lot of them.
Thank you to everybody who supported us through the Super Chat. We really appreciate your contribution. Thank you so much. We're very, very appreciative. And also thank you to our moderators, Bobby Whale and Hannah Baxter. We really appreciate you, particularly for staying up late where you guys are. We know it's after 1 a.m. Where you live. So
now go to bed. Your vegan mom's telling you.
Thank you both so much.
Yeah, really appreciate that.
Thank you, Cami, for all of your contributions and
Yes.
also all of your interaction here in the comments and
Thank you
everybody who's taken part.
Thank you to all the questions and all the people that were answering other people's questions.
We hope this has helped you guys who maybe taken away some tips and some food for thought, things to think about that can help you improve your digestion and bloating.
Yes, and again, we're talking from our experience. You need to try things for yourself, experiment. You know, it's very much an individual thing. So take it from there.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. We'll do it again. It's been fun.
Have a great night. This has been fun. I think we'll try maybe a different time. I don't know what we're going to do for the times.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thank you.
Really good to connect with you.
Love you guys. Mwah. Blow them a kiss. See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye. And remember, until next time,
going vegan, it's not the most we can do.
It's the least we can do.
Bye, guys.
See ya. Finish.